A couple more to come in the room. We're going to be covering how to double your fall leads with this August SEO plan. So if you guys are here, you are probably either own a lawn care company or are a marketing director for a lawn care company, and you are looking for strategies here for SEO. One, we're going to look at 2024 Google search volume by service. We're going to look at the critical SEO steps to take this fall, but also it's going to be evergreen. It's going to pour into every year in the future, and we'll lay into that. We'll look at some common SEO or mistakes that people make and how to avoid those. Pages to add if you don't have them, changes that you can make to existing pages. And then I do have some stuff on conversion rate optimization as well when we look at some service pages. So this is going to be good for this season. It's also going to be good for future seasons. And as my friend Ron Burgundy has pointed out here, fall services are a super big deal. They're a big deal because fall is one of the 2 times of the year that customers are actively looking to start relationships with lawn and landscape companies. The search volume spikes happen in September, October, November. And this is people who do not have a relationship, do not have a lawn care company, that are looking to start a new relationship. And the reason this is so important is because those same people are going to need spring services next year. So this strategy is very simple. It's a 4-point strategy for optimizing your SEO for these fall services. 1 is you got to build the right pages. 2 is we're going to optimize the on-page SEO of those pages. 3 is we're going to support those pages with blogging the right way. Make sure you don't waste time and waste energy and money on blogging the wrong way. And then we need to highly incentivize conversions so that anybody who hits the page, we've got a chance to get a shot at that business as we go through it. So first, let's take a look at the fall services and the volume spikes that you see here. September is the highest search volume annually for aeration after April. So April's the highest in the spring. September is going to be the next highest. So it's a 57% spike as related to the rest of the year in search volume that hits in September for lawn aeration here. You see this jump. Overseeding is another one. It has a 110% search spike in September. So getting positioned prior to September to be able to rank for overseeding, lawn overseeding is going to be a critical activity, and that's what we're going to be here to solve. So leaf cleanup, 158% in November is the key peak month for leaf cleanup search volume. So if you're farther north, it's probably going to be a little bit sooner. If you're farther south, it's probably going to be a little bit later. But generally across the United States, leaf cleanups are going to peak in November. So a lot of times, or a lot of guys will get start getting ahead of the game there in October, or they'll get behind the game in December. And so optimizing and being in right position by November to be able to maximize those leaf cleanup searches is going to be key. So I know a lot of guys do Christmas lights. I did not throw snow plowing on here, although there is certainly a peak associated with that as well. But Christmas lights, not a huge surprise here. It hits its peak in November, though. So if you're in December starting to get your marketing together for Christmas lights, you're behind the 8 ball at that point. So if you remember back a couple slides back, the first thing we're going to do is we got to make sure that we have the right pages on our site. So what you're looking at is proper site structure from an SEO perspective, and we're just going to break this down and show you on a page-by-page basis how to structure your website to best perform from an SEO perspective. Now, I know you could get some web designers on here that might look at it and say, I'd rather build a really fancy one-page site, or I'd rather just have all the services on one page. What I'm going to give you is exactly the way that you should build it from an SEO perspective, and that comes from single variant testing that I've observed and been part of SEO groups for years that have done single variant testing on these things, and then just hundreds, at this point, thousands of keyword rankings associated with just real life experience with ranking local businesses. And so if you look at the pages here from a structure, I'm going to start by just going across the bottom. So just a deep dive, a quick top of the funnel look at how your website should look. You got a home page. The home page is the most important SEO page on the site. This is not the page that we're going to try to target our keywords with for fall services. Then you got lawn care services. Sometimes folks will have like a lawn care services category page, maybe a landscape services category page. And then underneath that, you'll see individual service pages. And these are the pages that we're going to use to target these individual services from a fall SEO perspective. And so the reason for that is that Google doesn't rank a page of a website, or excuse me, it doesn't rank an entire website. It ranks a page of a website. So one of the first things to understand about Google is that each individual page is a rankable entity. And if something is important enough to you, it should be given its own page. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see folks make when they start this process out is they try to do too much with too many pages. They'll have one page that has all the mowing services, or maybe it has all the fall services on a single page, and they'll create one page and think, hey, I'll save some time and money by stacking all of my fall services onto one page. If these have spikes in volume like this, like these services do, specifically why we're looking at these services, they are worthy of having their own page. You want a dedicated aeration page. The one thing that I could say is you could combine maybe an aeration and an overseeding page. I've seen that done, but ultimately, there's only so many spots on a page of a website that you can put keywords to really make that page rank at a high level. And so every time you add an extra service to a page, you are having to divide what places you can put what keywords on that page. And eventually the targeting of it gets so wide that no one service can rank at a high level. So giving each one of these services a page is going to be the top strategy to recommend here. But if you got to save budget or you got to save time, then maybe combining two services to one page would be the absolute most that I would go with that. But all the pages that you see here that have these little SEOs next to them, these are critical pages from an SEO perspective. I also have these other types of pages that I call trust pages. Trust pages like your About Us page, the Our Work page, the Our Project page. These are highly visited pages, but they're usually not critical from an SEO perspective. The other page that's really valuable is the service area pages. So if you've ever seen the strategy before where you've got your primary service area, maybe it's the city your business is located in, but beyond that, you've got other neighborhoods or other areas that you serve. Those areas are pages that we need to optimize from an SEO perspective as well. And if you want to take it to the next level, you can actually take service pages and create sub-service pages for each of the sub-service areas. That's a little more advanced, but if you want to take this to the next level, let's say you've got a real key city that you're trying to rank for, and you want to dedicate an aeration page to that secondary city. I'd recommend you build a secondary aeration page, but it's associated with that secondary service area. So that's a little bit farther down the line there, but it's the same strategy where you're essentially building a website within a website. And so that's going to be the next area where you could branch out. Once you've done the first round, you've gotten the service pages for your primary service area. Next step there would be to build out the service area pages, or that next level there. And then right over here on the edge here, you'll see we've got blogs. A lot of times, this is a big mistake that I see people make. People will take their blogs and they will make this the page that they try to rank for, let's say, aeration plus their city. If you're trying to rank aeration plus your city, we want that primary ranking to live at the service page level. But what you can do with your blogs is that's going to become support content back to your service pages. So this is where you get your what's the right time to aerate in Austin, Texas? What's the quick ways to remove leaves in Austin, Texas? These are going to be the support pages that are then going to link back up to the primary service page. And so that's our basic website breakdown. All right, so let's talk about building and IDing these pages correctly. So as we just covered here, we need to create an internal specific service page for each of those services. So this is a good example of like Overseeding Austin, Texas. They've got an aeration and overseed combined page like I talked about here. This is the top page associated with it. And on that page, here's the do's that we want to do with that page. Once you've ID'd that you want to make a page, then you want to answer on that page. Google is going to give you a dead giveaway here of this people also ask section. When to overseed in Austin, Texas? What is the best seed for overseeding in Texas? Google's literally playing its hand here to say this is what people are searching for. Add those as frequently asked questions into that service page, and you are well on your way to answering exactly what Google wants to see on that page or content from you to trust you as an authority in that space. Then we're going to optimize the big 4 on-page SEO factors. We're going to cover that in just a second. And then create easy to update photo spaces with to add annual offers. These are some things that we should do on these pages specifically Don't just add aeration to your homepage. So a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll take their homepage and for the fall season, they'll say, I want to do more aeration. I'm going to update my homepage with a bunch of aeration keywords. It can work in some isolated ways, but what's probably going to happen is you're going to de-optimize your homepage for the services it's already ranking for and not necessarily optimize it well for something like aeration. We want to build it its own page for overseeding, aeration, Christmas lights, all these different services. The next don't to do is going to be don't try to repurpose an existing page. Again, existing pages probably have rankings for services that you're already looking for. So don't try to repurpose an existing page and throw aeration on it, throw overseed on it. You want its own dedicated page. And then don't only blog about fall services. That's what we talked about before. So don't try to make a blog be like aeration, Austin, Texas, when to do it, when not to do it. I mean, that might be fine, but that's not the page that we want to rank for this. We want that to be supportive content to what we're doing with that. All right, let's keep going on page SEO. So I mentioned here that we need to do on-page SEO factors. So as far as content goes, you've got an easy in here to answer these questions as part of the content on that page. That's going to get you a long ways. But you do need to be pretty technical on adding on-page SEO into a couple of key places. So I call this the big four. The big four is just the SEO title, the H1, the body content, and the URL. If you can get your primary keyword, and in most cases, that's going to be like aeration plus the city that you're in. So aeration, Austin, Texas, or aeration, Lexington, KY. That's going to be your primary keyword for the page. If you can make sure that you get that keyword into the SEO title, the H1, the body content, and the URL, that's going to be 70 to 80% of the on-page SEO muscle needed for that page. It's not everything. You can get a lot more tuned than that, but that is going to get you at least well over halfway there, just having the keyword into those big four places. So if you do nothing else, make sure that you get the keyword into those spots. The next spots are going to be H2s and H3s, and then use the frequently asked questions section to answer those key questions that we got with the people also ask elements associated with that. So I have a whole video dedicated to this on YouTube. So if you search Lawn Marketing Edge SEO on YouTube, you can find this playlist. I've got an entire video. It's like 25-minute video dedicated to just doing the big four on page SEO. So go check that out. And if you want to take that a little bit deeper, walk through that. But for right now, let's take a quick look here. This is just a new service page, and I can show you quickly where these big four are on this page. This is kind of an example of what a simple service page can look like when you're looking to target something like leaf removal. And I use this tool. It's called SEO Meta in one click. It's a very easy way to spot what's going on from, this is the SEO title. So you can see we've got leaf removal services Chattanooga in the title here. This right here is called the H1. So if you inspect this, we can see this is the H1 class. If you just right click and hit inspect, you can see the H1 class right here. H1 is the heading 1 tag. It's one of the most important places to have the keyword. It's part of the big four. So you can see this right at the top here. Best leaf removal services, Chattanooga. So you can see that keyword repeated in the H1. Then we'll have it here in the H2. That's another spot to have it. Although that's not part of the big four, but it's another place to have it in an H2 tag. And then last but not least, you'll see we've got this fall leaf removal services right here in the first 100 words of the body content. That is typically going to be the big four that we want to have it. Last but not least, anytime you can have it in the URL is going to be very important as well. So if you get your keywords, anytime you're mapping your pages, plan to have these 4 or 5 areas to have the primary keyword that you're targeting every time. And if you could do that, you're going to be ahead of probably 80-90% of the businesses that you are competing against in your area. Let's talk about supporting content, blogging the right way. Okay, so when we blog the right way, what we want to do is once we have the service pages created, we want to start creating supporting content. This is what you can do year after year to create a authority with Google, to make yourself a subject matter expert. So these blog posts that we create, every time we create one, we're going to link those back to the primary service area or the primary service page that we've built to rank for that keyword. Because what we've essentially told Google at this point, this is what's really key. What we've essentially told Google at this point is if there is one page on our website that we want to rank for aeration services plus our city, this is the page to do it. We've dedicated the H1, the SEO title, the H2, all the things Google's looking for to say, okay, this page is all about aeration plus that. Then we're going to write all that supportive content that Google's talking about. This people also ask. Grab one of those and write a blog about each one of those things and answer those questions in long form in a blog, and then direct it back to this aeration page. So what you're doing essentially is you are telling Google, hey, all this content over here, this is all about our subject matter expertise in this area. But if you're looking for the services, the service we sell is over here. So you're just supporting that strategy from a content and authority perspective every time you're writing one of those blogs. And there's a couple of evergreen natures to what we can do with this that's going to really make your job simple on a year-over-year basis. So first thing we're going to do is create the evergreen blog posts and answer the questions and the people also ask. Then we're going to link them up to the year-round service pages that never change, never move. And then we're going to come back and update those blogs every year. Every year, we're going to update the titles of those blogs to say this year be 2024, right? So we're going to say best practices for overseeding in Austin, Texas in 2024. That's the title of the blog this year. Sometime next year, we're going to update that to 2025, and we're going to update its content. We're going to give it some sort of new, fresh idea associated with 2025. But that's just going to let the users know every time that this is the freshest information that they can be looking for associated with overseeding or aeration in that city in that time. And so that's going to give them a lot of confidence that they're looking at the best information in the area at that time. This is also going to put you ahead of, again, 98% of the lawn care companies that you're going to be competing against on Google are not going to be doing strategies like this. So this, and it's a little change. It just takes the discipline of understanding the broader strategy and coming in every year and updating that content and making sure that you're telling Google we are the freshest, most up-to-date resource in the area. Couple of things to not do associated with that. Do not add the year to the URL. So a lot of folks will say in the blog, they'll make the title, best ways to aerate in 2024 in Austin, Texas. And then they'll include 2024 in the URL. And then next year when they go to update it, they'll go, oh, I've got to update that URL. When you do that, any update to a URL changes the ranking unit that Google has. Every single URL, every single one to the letter is indexed by Google. And so if you change that URL, Google believes immediately that it is a totally new blog that it now has to index. And then it's going to go, wait, I have another blog. It's at a different URL, but it's almost exactly the same content. Which one of these is the right one? Which one of these wins? Anytime we create confusion with Google, Google might figure it out, but it reduces the confidence and therefore the rankability of the piece of content that we've created. Here's the principle. Don't add the year to the URL when you are updating these blogs. The title and everything, we can update those without consequence. But if you have that year in the URL, it's going to make updating it very difficult. Make sure that you don't put that year in the URL. Next thing is just don't write crappy content. Google is getting better and better at discovering what is good content. Although I know I'm a longtime believer that Google will rank absolute garbage. But for our users and for our authority, put some time and effort into these blogs. Make sure that you are the resource. If you've got a resource that's better than anybody else in your city on this thing, over time, you're going to have confidence in sharing that out. Other people are going to have confidence in linking to it. And therefore, the more traction they're going to get with Google. So the big four on a blog is the same thing as the big four on a service page. It's just a different keyword, but you want to make sure the SEO title, the H1, body content, URL all reflect the keywords that you're targeting. All right, last but not least, we're going to incentivize conversion. Once we get them to the page, everything we just laid out there in that strategy is getting them to the page. And that will work. This will work over time if you create the right pages, optimize them the right way, support them with the right kind of content, build links. We're not going to go deep into link building, but that is a portion of SEO. And so if you don't have much knowledge about link building, again, I got 2 videos on YouTube. Go watch them. I go deep dive into internal linking, deep dive into backlinks, how to get them and how important they are. As an SEO that's been doing this for 12 years, there's not a better structure than this to eventually rank for these keywords. These will double or triple your fall sales over time if you can get good backlinks in place, if you add the blogs, if you put the on-page optimizations in. There's no better way to do it. So believe in the strategy as a whole, because it will get people to the page eventually, especially if you're in a lower competition area. This is gold. You might actually be able to get immediately into rankable position with just these activities, especially if you have a long-term business that has some authority built on it. This will get you there. So this is the foundation of what we do every single time. And so believe in that. Now, once you've ranked your page for the keywords you want, how are we going to get people to call you? That's where conversion takes over, and we need to incentivize conversion. One of the big mistakes that people make when it comes to their service pages that are ranking for the keywords they want is they treat the page like a room. They treat it like an internal room on their website and not like the front door. So if somebody's just completed a search for, let's say, leaf removal Chattanooga, and this is the first page they click on, a lot of times these internal service pages will have almost no trust building elements on them. It'll just be some basic content. It'll just be some basic generic, call us, stuff like that. And it's the first introduction that somebody has to your business. So somebody coming straight from Google into a page like this, we want to treat it a lot more like a front door than an internal room. A couple of ways that you can do that to give them that front door treatment is to list some key numbers that quickly communicate quality. So I always ask my clients to grab some key numbers, some notable numbers is what we call them. 5-star rated. How many team members do you have? How many customers do you have? Are you 100% insured? There's a lot of information. What's your retention rate? Give me some numeric representation that you're good at what you do. And we want to shout that from the top of these pages as often as we can. One of my favorite things to do with pages like these is create simple to change images that we can update on a daily basis if you need to or want to with different offers. So when you have a page structure like this is a link, and I'll have a Canva link. As a matter of fact, I'll have a resource link for all of the stuff that we cover in this. So all these YouTube videos, all this stuff, we're going to cover all these things. I have a Canva link that has this mock-up, this template in it that you can grab. This is just a simple example. Let's say it's October 1st, and we know leaf removal season is about to hit full swing. So we can throw a 30% offer on this page for 5 days, 10 days, 30 days, 45 days, so that anybody who hits this page can have an incentive to do something we want, right? We want them to schedule 7 days in advance. So what I don't want them to do is to hit this page, be like, oh, that was kind of a nice offer sort of thing. I'm not really ready to schedule yet, but maybe I'll come back in a couple of weeks, except for they don't come back in a couple of weeks, right? So what I want them to do is have a clear incentive right now to say, oh, if I schedule this right now, I don't know exactly when, but I'll call them, I'll get this scheduled in advance, and I can get a 30% off discount or 10% or 20%. You decide the number, what you want with that. But the point is we want them to know right now they need to call, book ahead, get this scheduled. We've already introduced ourselves at a high level. We're a quality team that they're working with. They've got an incentive right on this page that they can act on with that. And this is an image that we can swap day in, day out. It takes about 2 minutes to swap this image on Canva, change the offer a little bit, and drop it back in. So you don't need a web developer, or you don't need any kind of fancy tooling in order to get this offer updated on those pages. I'm thinking you like it, and based on the smiles, sweet. Fire away if you have any questions. I love it. Another thing I love to do is include reviews, include click to call phone numbers. So we like to definitely let them know if they're on a phone, they can click this. By the way, this whole column displays beautifully on a phone. So as it centers up on a phone, you get a single column, very easy to click to call. We also like to bring in reviews. So one of my favorite things is if you have service specific reviews, I love to include those on specific service pages. So imagine if these reviews right here all said like they totally crushed this leaf cleanup last year. John is the best leaf cleanup guy I've ever seen. Those service specific reviews on these pages is another way that you can just improve the depth of optimization of these pages and this strategy. Because over years, you're going to start to get more and more folks. And one of the things we always coach folks to do is to mention the service that they're leaving a 5-star review with. And that goes back to another principle, which would be like you need to be asking for reviews. If you're doing these quick one-off services, these are usually just ideal moments to send an email, a text message campaign after the service to say, hey, if that was great, give us a quick 5-star review. That can be a lot easier to earn than a annual lawn care guy where he's like, I want this guy to cut my lawn for 6 months before I'm going to decide to give him a 5-star review. Just quick, get those reviews, have them mention the service, and that page only looks more authoritative over time. You're going to sense a theme here. I've got a YouTube video all about optimizing your service pages. And so getting the conversion rate optimization improvements with those pages are going to be there. Feel free to pop over there, subscribe if you could to the YouTube channel. That'd be a huge help. And then I also have this template for the Canva offer template here that you can use. You can pull that down and start to work your own offers into those pages and do whatever you'd like with that. So those are just a couple of quick conversion options. We're pushing right into the 35-minute range here. So I'm pretty much wrapped up with this. Like I said, I don't have any hard pitches. So I did have something for people who showed up live here. And that is, we've got a thing called a homepage upgrade. It's only $97. This is not a money maker for us, but for sticking with us on a webinar tonight, if you mention August SEO 2024, you can get an additional 25% off on that. What the homepage upgrade is, I have tons of folks that I talk to that will not take action on the SEO stuff because they don't believe in the quality of the homepage of their website. So they're already in a position where they're like, I don't really want people to go to my site. If that's you, the homepage upgrade is designed to literally just take that first introduction, the topmost portion of your site, and upgrade that in just one simple low-cost thing. We've got some templates that you can choose from. We come in, we make that first initial impact on your site beautiful. Like I said, it's not a moneymaker for us. So if you're hanging out with us on the webinar here, there's an additional 25% off on that. If you've got a site, go ahead and go to homepage.lawnmarketingedge.com. Outside of that, thanks for sticking around with us tonight.